107 Meridian FM. Weather.
Sponsored by RH Uncovered magazine. The best coverage of local community news and events. Call 01342 580026 or visit rhuncovered.co.uk.
Another very warm day with plenty of sunshine and light winds. For the vast majority, it will stay fine throughout the day. However, there is a small chance of catching an isolated heavy shower. That's the weather.
From Lingfield to Forest Row, 107 Meridian FM. Live local, love local.
Good afternoon, East Grinstead. You're listening to Rotary on the radio on 107 Meridian FM. Get in touch with us today on email info@meridianrotary.co.uk, Twitter @meridianrotary, or telephone us in the studio 01342 325 222. We have a great show this afternoon in two halves, really. The first half, we are speaking to the president of the East Grinstead Meridian Rotary Club, and on the second half, we are speaking to Laura Kelly from St. Catherine's Hospice. So it's a pretty busy show. Stay with us. Just after this Lady Gaga tune, we'll be speaking to the President, Michael Haynes. That was Lady Gaga, Do What You Want. Good afternoon. You're listening to Rotary on the radio on 107 FM. We have the President of the East Grinstead Meridian Rotary Club in the studio with us. I'm not quite sure how I should address you. Would you like to be called Mr. President or Mr. Michael Haynes? Or
no, just Michael.
Michael. Well, welcome, Michael. Good afternoon. If I may ask, just for people out there or listeners out there who are listening at present, what does a Rotary Club president do?
Probably depends a lot on the president. Nominally, you're the person who represents the club, rather like the mayor represents the town of East Grinstead. But one also has to coordinate things within the club. But most of the hard work is done by committees and other members of the club. One has to a certain extent, coordinate that, run the meetings, and set a theme for the year if you can.
Good. And how is a Rotary Club president elected?
Well, it's quite a long-winded procedure, which is a very good thing, in fact. You have 3 years virtually to prepare yourself. You start off by being elected a second vice president.
Right.
And the club finds out people who are willing to do it. Largely, we take turns to do it, but you don't have to do it. And then you have certain duties as second vice president. And then the next year, you're probably going to be elected as president-elect. So you have a year to prepare yourself, and then in the third year you become the president of the club.
Right. If I may just quickly interrupt you, sorry. How is the president-elect or any of those, that chain is started off? I mean, how do you come onto that?
Well, people will approach you. Alternatively, you can make it known to people that you would like to do it.
Right.
More often people are approached to say would they like to do it.
Right.
It's not something that everybody wants to do. It involves quite a lot of work. Some people, through business or personal feelings, don't want to do it.
Right.
And we don't apply pressure to them. But we hope everybody does it because it's a great pleasure to be the top person in the club.
I mean, if you've never done that before, is it kind of a daunting task from your experience, as in starting and then being a president?
Daunting's the wrong word.
Okay.
I mean, one does worry about it and think about it, but it's East Grinstead Meridian Club is such a smashing club, and people, members support each other, that really needn't be daunted by it. You lie back and enjoy it, I think is the phrase that's been used.
Let me rephrase it then. Did you feel that there was a lot of pressure on your shoulders coming into such a club and making sure that you're filling the outgoing president's shoes as in such, and carrying on the great work the club's done in the past? And
to a certain extent, but it's not heavy pressure.
Good.
Because of this club structure with committees and 30 other committed people backing you up, it isn't something that one needs to be fearful.
Good. So did you say you had a good time being the president this year?
It has been a very good year.
Good.
I'm not sure I've been the best president the club's had, but I have enjoyed it. I hope the club has. It's certainly been a great experience.
Brilliant. And when did you become the president of the East Grinstead Meridian Club?
1st of July last year.
And does that run till 31st of June?
Yes, we do it exactly for a year, and then another present president-elect will take over on the 1st of July.
Right. And that's always on the same date, I take it. It's always 1st of July.
Yes, that's the Rotary practice. The Rotary is an international organisation, has quite a heavy rule book, and this is one of the things that they specify, that every Rotary club on the whole world changes their officers at the beginning of July.
And I know you told us that, there was over 30 members and they're all smashing. Can you tell us when the East Grinstead Meridian Club was formed? Perhaps the exact current number of members?
Yes, it was formed about 28 years ago. We've still got quite a large number of the original founder member, which is quite an achievement. And they're still very active, some of them in the club. We're now standing at about 33 members, I think, and we've got a couple of people who possibly will join us.
So 28 years in the town, that's pretty good going.
Yes, I've only been in the club for 5 years now, because I moved here from Essex. So I don't know much about the past history apart from what I'm told, but it's a very good record, and we've done a club over the years that have done a lot of good in the town.
Good. Thank you, Michael. We'll come back to you just after Jessie J. That was Jessie J. Price Tag. Michael, just probably from my point of view, and being a current member as well, an inquisitive question. How do you manage and run a club this size?
Well, we have a structure, which is the only way that we can get things done, because clearly what we do is beyond one person to organise. And it starts off with the president at the top, with the vice presidents, and then we have an organisation called Club Council, which is about 10 of the committee chairmen, and they're a sort of cabinet which thinks about proposals and decides whether they think it's a good idea before it goes to the club. Beneath them we have a lot of individual committees which deal with various parts of our work. Probably the most important is the fundraising committee, because we do a lot of fundraising. We raised £14,000 last year in the town, so that is a very busy job. Then we have a committee for community and vocation. This is dealing with helping the local community. This year we've made a number of donations of £500 or so to a lot of local organisations, and this is all organised through that committee. We have another committee which deals with help to young people, schools. There's a number of Rotary activities where they do national competitions for young chef, young musician, young inventor, things like that. So that's dealt with by that committee. And then we have what we call an international committee, which deals with activities abroad. Rotary is spread over the whole of the world, and it does a lot to support the needy in the third world as well as in this country. So all of these committees do their own thing. They bring forward proposals for us actively to do things, to spend money, to help people. This is considered at the club council, which I've mentioned, and then if the club council thinks it's something which ought to be proceeded with, it goes to the full meeting of the club and we vote whether to do it or not. It sounds complicated, but it works quite well.
Good.
And it shares the work out among all the members of the club. What we try and do is to see that each club member is attached to one of these committees so that they can be called upon to do something towards the club's activity in the year.
And I know you mentioned there are several committees. I take it those are chaired by a person who's in charge of that committee?
Yes, those people are committee chairmen, but they coordinate their committees, suggest things to their members, consider things that are put to them, and then bring it forward to the club council, of which they're members as well.
And as a president, you obviously don't go and sit on each of these of their committee meetings. I take it you leave it for them to discuss and then bring it onto the council.
Yes, I'm entitled to sit on their committee meetings, but I'm a great believer in letting people do their own thing. And I would feel I would be interfering if I butted into what they were doing. I mean, I'll go if they ask me, but I haven't been asked, so I've left it to the individuals.
Good. I know you mentioned that the club's quite active, you've got lots of committees and various things come up. How do you find, or how do you manage your work, social life and other commitments with all this going on?
Well, I'm retired now, so that's fairly easy. I'm still fairly busy, but not as busy as when I went to work. I've been in Rotary, not in this club, but in other clubs for 25 years. And when you're working, you find time. There's a lovely motto, you might call it, of Rotary, which said, if you want something done, ask a busy man. And that's very true, odd as it sounds. And busy men often find times within their day. If they're lucky, they can do it during their work day. Other people have jobs when they have to do things in the evening or at weekends. And family requirements come first, but after that you can do things for Rotary. It fits in, and the great thing about Rotary work is usually enjoyable, so it's not a great hardship to fit it in.
No, good. I'm glad that you're able to do that. We'll play Bryan Adams, and then we'll be back to Michael to carry on with our chat. That was Bryan Adams, When You're Gone. We are in the studio today with the East Grinstead Meridian Rotary Club President, Michael Haynes. Some interesting chat so far, Michael. If I may ask, any highlights that stands out during your term as President?
Well, it's been a very good year generally. There's no one thing that I'd say was the absolute highlight. There have been a lot of things which have been really very good. I think the top things must be our various fundraising events. We've raised, as I've said earlier, £14,000 this year. We had a tremendous golf day in September last year, where people were very supportive, and we raised a lot of money there. In the autumn we had an auction of promises, and that raised over £5,000. And we had in February a race night which was very successful too. A lot of hard work went into those by our members, but probably our main thing are our Christmas events. We go out and try and raise money. Local people probably know of Father Christmas coming round in his sleigh and having carols, and we knock on doors and collect money. A lot of children get very excited about that and are very pleased to see him. We raise money by shaking tins in the high street, and out of that we fund presents, vouchers, flowers, boxes of chocolates for needy people in the district. And I feel that that's a really great thing. We're going out maybe on wet, snowy nights, shaking tins to people, but taking Father Christmas around. But it's coming back into the community straight away by providing presents for these people who are in need. And I must say, I always enjoy that as being one of the highlights of Christmas.
Good. And I take it, if I may push you, I take it there isn't an event that the club felt that was successful. Was it like a great achievement, or would you say all of the stuff that you organised are pretty much in the same category?
I think every effort like this is a great achievement, but it's not exceptionally unusual. The club has been doing this sort of effort for years after years after years. There's no problem with doing the same thing again and again if it's successful. And clearly it raises money. So we're very happy with it.
And do you know whether, as a whole, with all these various fundraising events, how much the club has raised?
Yes, £14,000 this year. I can't tell you exactly how much we've spent, but we have spent a good chunk of it.
And will all of that £14,000 eventually be distributed to worthy causes?
Oh, it is all for charity. We keep a very careful distinction between the money we raise from the public for charity that must be spent on charitable activities, and we're very careful about that. If we do things for ourselves, we spend our own money, and the two are kept in separate accounts very strictly, so no one need worry if they make a donation to our fundraising events that money is going to go to anything other than proper charitable activities.
And anyone listening to the show right now, they don't know about Rotary. What would you, if you want to give a message out, what would you like to say to them?
I would say have a look at Rotary carefully. It perhaps has unfortunately got a reputation of being comprised of middle-aged businessmen, and maybe at one time it was. It's a very different organisation now. There are quite a few older people in it, because Rotary being enjoyable, you join it in your 50s, and if you're still fit, you're happy to be a Rotarian in your 80s. There's no reason why you should leave. So there is a natural tendency for clubs to become generally older. But we're looking for new members. We now are very happy and indeed are welcoming to women to join us. We've got 4 ladies at the moment who are members of Rotary and 2 prospective members. We would hope that this is an area in which we will have new members. Hopefully there are lots of ladies in East Grinstead who are going to say, I would like to get involved in the work of Rotary. Well, we meet every Wednesday night at the Dorset Arms. Come along and see us. Let us know beforehand through our website that you'd like to come, and we shall welcome you very well and tell you about Rotary, and hopefully you might want to do something more about it.
And I know you said that you're looking for new members. If there was someone listening to the show right now thinking, I am a family man with a couple of kids or a kid, I'm working full-time, I'm trying to make ends meet, how am I going to get time to devote to Rotary? What would your answer be?
Well, it's got to be a choice for every individual. When I first joined Rotary 25 years ago, my children were getting quite old. They were at home. I was working in the high street in the town in Essex, so I was pretty busy. The commitment is you one night a week, it's Wednesday night in our case, you meet. You haven't got to come every week, but the more you come, the more you're going to get involved and the more you're going to get to know the people in the club. Our club doesn't demand much more than that, except for the various fundraising activities which I've talked about. Membership of a committee might take an evening a month. It might not even do that. So it's not a huge commitment. I would always just say to people, suck it and see. Come along. If you have a feeling this might be good, come along. And if it isn't for you, then you can gracefully bow out and there'll be no ill feeling. Then you can remain a friend of ours even if you're not a member. But if you find you can do it, then fine. Our spouses, partners of both sexes, can get involved in the club. We've got one husband and wife membership. My children still talk about getting involved in Rotary events, which they remember as thoroughly enjoying. Shaking tins, collecting money, taking things round to people. You can involve your family as well as putting it on one side. So it needn't be a competition with your family. On the other hand, if your family feels difficulties about it, then no doubt it's wise not to put pressure on them by joining a club which they can't cope with.
And where do you meet at the moment, and when do you meet?
We meet every Wednesday night, 7:30 for 8 at the Dorset Arms. The procedure for meetings is that we have a meal, not an expensive one. Eating together is one of the pleasures of Rotary. You get to meet people and chat to them over the meal. After the meal, most meetings we have a speaker. Someone organises that. Sometimes people from local charities, sometimes people locally have done exciting things. And then we have a little bit of business to conduct. Once a month we have what is called a business meeting, where we actually don't have a speaker and we talk purely about the things we're going to do, the activities we're going to undertake, how we're going to organise them, what we're going to spend the money on. And they're obviously very important to the club as well as the other type of meetings.
And would you say you've enjoyed your time as president? You know, you mentioned you had a pleasurable time. When it ends in June, would you miss it being a president?
I think I shall physically miss it because all the things that I'm doing now, it isn't a huge amount because other people in the club organise things for you. also got to be sure that one coordinates things. Yes, I shall miss it. Slight sigh of relief that I haven't got to do those things and it's somebody else's problem the next year. But I expect I'll find another job. I shan't be sitting there doing nothing, I'm sure.
And I take it you'll still be the member of the East Grinstead Meridian Rotary Club? Oh,
indeed. When you look at our membership, a lot of our members who've been in the club for a long time have been president, some of them more than once.
Right.
And they're still active members of the club, doing things, chairing committees, going out shaking tins. You don't sit back and relax and give up once you've been president. You carry on as before.
Good. One more final thing we need to do, Michael. Firstly, thank you very much for coming in and explaining and answering questions about what we do in the club and how Rotary involves. We also have Laura Kelly in the studio. I know we said we're going to be chatting with her just after 1 o'clock. Laura is from St. Catherine's Hospice. And Michael, we have the Rotary Club of East Grinstead Meridian has a donation to make, which is £500 to that a well-deserved, in my point anyway, it's a well-deserved charity. And we'll be speaking to Laura just after 1 o'clock. In the meanwhile, Cyndi Lauper, Girls Do Have Fun. That was Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Meridian FM is proudly sponsored by the Cox Management Services Group.
Right, Michael, I know we've just done a check presentation. I know you wanted to say something to Laura.
Yes, I do. Laura was one of those speakers I was talking about before who came and told us about the work of her hospice. And it's a very uplifting story she tells about the work they do. Hospices, of course, are something which we all might come in contact with at some stage, and I think we're probably lucky that her hospice is near us because they do clearly a very grand job. And Laura, I'm very pleased to give you this cheque for £500 on behalf of Rotary towards the work that you do in the hospice.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thanks for inviting me in to join you today. I just want to say on behalf of St. Catherine's a real thank you for this tremendous sum of money. I will be talking a bit later about just some of the work that we do, as Michael's touched on, and the money that we do need to raise, but £500 will really support a vast number of our patients and could actually fund 10-day hospice patients in our Crawley or Caterham site. So thank you, that will really make a valuable difference to our patients.
Michael?
Well, I'm very pleased that's the case, and I think the residents of East Grinstead can take credit for this because they've all contributed to raising this money, and it's a donation from them as well as from us, and I'm sure it's going to be very well spent, no doubt about that.
Good. No, I'm pleased that as a club we were able to help something, as I said, in my point of view, a deserving cause. I'm sure everyone will agree. I know, Laura, you've come quite far, I think from Kingston, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, I was in Kingston this morning for an 8:30 meeting, and I've come down to join you now.
Oh, dear me. So it's a long day for you, I take it.
Yeah, I did wake up actually at 5:30 because it's such a beautiful morning, and I woke up at 5:30 convinced I'd slept through my alarm, but was very relieved that I hadn't.
And you're doing anything after this, or are you going to be enjoying the rest of the weekend?
I think a spot of DIY. My father-in-law is down with my husband and trying to fix our house from some of the storm damage earlier in the year.
Oh dear. Right, so no rest for the weekend, I say.
No.
No problems. We will be coming back and speaking to Laura a little bit later on after this.
Your radio station for Newchapel, Lingfield, Dormansland and Felbridge. It's got to be Meridian FM. Meridian FM.
This song certainly brings back memories for me. That was Bonnie M. Rivers of Babylon. You're listening to Rotary on the radio on 107 Meridian FM. Hope you're enjoying this lovely sunshine weekend. If you want to get in touch with us, email us info@meridianrotary.co.uk or Twitter @MeridianRotary, or call us in the studio 01342 325 222. That's 01342 325 222. We have a couple of events that we need to give some publicity. One is the Brooks Williams concert. That's on the 4th of, 11th of July. Brooks William concert, 11th of July. Tickets are £12.50. It's at the Meridian Hall, East Grinstead. The details about this is on our website, which is meridianrotary.co.uk, or you can call 0759 33 16145. That's 0759 3316145. If we have some time later on in the show, we'll play you a track. I've heard some of his CDs and that was given to me prior to the show. It's if you're into jazz, it's a lovely time. I think you'll be had at Meridian Hall. So please, if you can keep the date free, that is 11th of July. In the evening. We'll give you all the details later on in the show as well, but all the information is on our website. That's meridianrotary.co.uk. If you can call us 01342 325 222, tell us what you are doing. We would love to hear you. We are coming with a couple of songs, one Move Like Jagger, and then we'll be going into the news, and then we'll be speaking to Laura Kelly from St Catherine's Hospice.
From Felbridge to Newchapel, this is 107 Meridian FM. Meridian FM. 107 Meridian FM. Weather.
Sponsored by RH Uncovered magazine, the best coverage of local community news and events. Call 01342 580026 or visit rhuncovered.co.uk.
Hi, and the weather today is a very warm day with plenty of sunshine and light winds. However, for the vast majority it'll stay fine throughout. However, there's a small chance of catching an isolated heavy shower into the afternoon. Looking a bit overcast now, but we're hoping it's having a good day.
From Felbridge to Newchapel, 107 Meridian FM. Live local, love local.
Well, good afternoon. This is Anthony Beevor, Meridian FM, 107.1 FM, and this is Rotary on the radio. And I have with me in the studio this afternoon Laura Kelly. Now, she's come all the way from Kingston. What was the traffic like, Laura?
It was quite heavy just coming into East Grinstead, but generally pretty clear.
Oh, it always is. It is always heavy coming into East Grinstead. It's terrible, but there we are. Okay, so you're with St Catherine's Hospice. How long have you been with them?
I actually only started at St Catherine's at the very tail end of January, so I've been working for St Catherine's for just over 3 months.
Okay, and what were you doing before that?
I was previously working up in London. I was at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, where I was fundraising for scholarships and bursaries for some of our students to come and study there.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. Right, first of all, can you just give our listeners an overview of what St Catherine's Hospice does and what it is as an organisation.
So we are a local charity providing free care and support for those facing life-ending illnesses in Horsham, Crawley, Mid Sussex and East Surrey, and for their loved ones. We're generally caring for patients from 18 upwards, and over the past 30 years since we were founded, we've cared for about 16,000 people, so we're really working with the local community.
Oh, that's great. And are you mostly caring for patients with cancer, or are there other conditions that you deal with?
Well, about 21% of our patients will have a non-cancer diagnosis, so we do work very closely with patients who maybe have motor neurone disease or end-stage heart failure. Our nurses are real specialists at understanding the needs of people living with these diagnoses, and they take a lot of time to really listen to their wishes and provide both clinical and emotional support, not only to our patients but their wider families as well.
Right. And how is a hospice care different to the care patients might expect in a like an NHS hospital?
Well, our inpatient unit, which is over in Crawley, has a really high ratio of nurses to patients. So that's one of the main differences. It also doesn't have any visiting hours, so family can come at all times. We have family rooms. We actually often have pets in as well, such as dogs, which we recognise are parts of the family. All of our wards actually open out into our patient gardens, which on a hot day like this, this is a really wonderful space. And we've got a beautiful summer house out there as well, which our beds can get up to. So it's really very different. We've also got a lot of care going on people's homes as well.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit more about care at home and how it works and how people react with it?
Yeah, we've got a strong community nursing team who are based both in Crawley and Caterham, and they're working 365 days a year. They are going out into people's homes and really caring for them there, working very closely with GPs and district nurses as well. So generally we find that our patients would most like to stay at home, so we make sure that they can stay in that comfortable environment for as long as possible.
Right, that's lovely, Laura. We're going to come back with Laura in just a few moments after this music. Good afternoon, you're listening to Rotary on the Radio on 107 Meridian FM, and I'm Anthony Beevor. Now, you can contact us right now on email at info@meridianrotary.co.uk, or you can Twitter us at Meridian Rotary, or give us a telephone 01342 325 222. We look forward to hearing from you. Now, I've got a couple of events that I need to promote and bring to your attention. The first one is an East Grinstead Town Council charity race night. Now, they're trying to raise further funds for the Macmillan Cancer Support Centre. Now, their race night is on Tuesday the 27th of May, 7:30 to 10:30 p.m, up at the Meridian Hall, East Court. The tickets are £15, including a race halt ownership and a 2-course hot supper. Now, East Grinstead, come on, let's support this for the Town Council and Margaret Belsey, the outgoing Town Mayor, who is organising this. You can ring on 01342 323636, or you can email w.mackenzie@eastgrinstead.gov.uk. I'll just repeat that. You can ring for tickets on 01342 323 636, or you can email w.mackenzie@eastgrinstead.gov.uk. Now, come on, everybody, let's get a good turnout and raise some money for the Macmillan's nurses.
Meridian FM is proudly sponsored by the Cox Management Services Group.
Welcome back. You're listening to Rotary on the Radio on the 107 Meridian FM. I'm Anthony Beevor, and I've got Laura Kelly from the St Catherine Hospice in the studio with me this afternoon. Now, Laura, you told us quite a bit about St Catherine's Hospice, and we'll learn some more later. But what about yourself? Now, I know you professional fundraisers, you tend to work around the clock. What's your sort of typical working week? Can you tell us something about that?
It's really very varied. I, this week, have had 3 speaking engagements. So I was with a Probus Club over in Reigate on Monday giving a presentation and working with them. I attend quite a lot of networking events. My role at St Catherine's is a corporate fundraiser, so I'm always looking to make links and introductions with various employers in the area. to look at some of the ways that we can work together. And when I'm in the office, I'm working very closely with the rest of our fundraising team and answering emails and doing the sort of usual office things and helping to promote some of our events and plan for the rest of the year.
And I know that you are part of a team. Where is your office? Where's St Catherine's off? Where are you based, in fact?
I am based in the Hospice in Crawley, so we're just on Malthouse Road.
And how many people in the sort of the fundraising marketing team?
There's about 14 of us in the office, and we cover all sorts of aspects of fundraising. So we have a community team which work very closely with some of our schools and faith groups. We have 2 members of staff who are solely organising some of our big fundraising events and coming up with new and exciting ideas for everyone to get involved in. We're also working very closely with trusts and foundations, so putting in applications there. And we have the St Catherine's Lottery, which is also based in our team, and that's a really fun way of getting involved from £1 a week. And the lottery offers a chance to raise to win £10,000, and it actually raises £50,000 in a single month for the hospice. So that's a really exciting thing that we offer.
Now, I think you said to me earlier that most of your team are out at weekends. Whereabouts are they? Is it all weekend?
Yes, we've got a really busy weekend. So we're here, there, and everywhere at St Catherine's this weekend. So we have the Greater Haywards Heath bike ride going on tomorrow over in Haywards Heath. But a lot of our teams are over in Central Haywards Heath today, taking reservations and bookings for any last minute entries. So if you want to come along and take part, do head over there, and that's kicking off first thing tomorrow morning.
Smashing. And I've got a pamphlet here that says it's your Bark in the Park is on Saturday the 31st of May. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Laura?
Yes, we're really excited about this event. We're running it both in East Grinstead and Horsham. So on Saturday at East Court, that's the 31st of May, we will be walking our dogs who are charged with getting their own sponsorship. So it's £5 to enter your dog of any breed, and you can bring along, they can bring along as many walkers as they'd like. So it's a really fun way of engaging your friends and family in working with your dog to support St Catherine's. As I said earlier, dogs are quite a big part of some of the work that we do. We have pets as therapy dogs coming into the wards, as well as welcoming our patients' own much-loved family members, their dogs and pets.
And how do people, do they just turn up, or do they have to register beforehand?
They can register online at www.stch.org.uk.
And, but you don't want them just to turn up with the dog?
I think that if they turn up, they're more than welcome to take part on the day, yes.
That's good, but better still to register. Right, that's Bark in the Park, 31st of May. What time is it? Is there a time? Yes, it is. Registration starting from about 10 o'clock onwards. Great. There's another one that you're doing fairly nearby, is the big road ride. Tell us about that, Laura.
The big road ride is taking place on the 13th of July, and we're heading off from Imberhorn School. So it's a really local event to where we're speaking today in the studio. That's a real event for all the family, although I'm not sure many dogs can cycle that one. There's 4 different routes to choose from, so you can bring along children for our 10k route, but it goes right through up to over 60 miles to do, so it could be a full-on day if you want it to be.
There, the big road ride organised by St Catherine's Hospice, and all these details are on their website, www.stch.org.uk. Right, that's the plugs. Well done. I hope they go, and we shall plug them later for you, certainly. Now, I want to get back to the hospice itself. Now, how does the hospice support the wider family?
Hospice care is very much about looking after the family as well as patients. For those patients that are being looked after in their own homes, we do have a 24-hour phone line for any family members. We also run Carers Pampers Days over in Caterham and Crawley once a month, where our carers can come and be supported, chat to one another, and also have some really lovely things such as massages. So that's a really wonderful thing for us to look after. Our patient family support team are also offering counselling and welfare advice to our families too.
Now, all of this takes a lot of funding, I would imagine, and this is always the big question, isn't it? How are you funded? Do you have any public money given to you?
Last year we received just over £2.5 million of NHS funding, and that's comparable to costs to run the hospice of over £8 million. So that's £5.5 million a year that we need to fundraise, which is actually equal to £15,000 a day.
Right, that is a hell of a lot of money, as they say, and you must therefore raise this money in different ways. We've just heard about the big road ride and Bark in the Park, but there must be a number of other things that you need to do to raise this $5.5 million a year, which is a lot.
Yes, it does mean there's always something going on for people to get involved in, but it's really thanks to the support of our volunteers and voluntary donations that we're able to raise that money. So some of the fundraising teams that I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago are working throughout the community to help us raise that money in various ways, so the community, trusts and legacies and grants.
Right, Laura, yes, a lot of money that you have to raise, and I hope all the people who are listening are taking a note of that with the various events in and around the East Grinstead area coming this summer. Anyway, we'll be back to Laura in just a few moments. Right, now we welcome back to Rotary on the Radio on 107 Meridian FM. I'm Anthony Beevor, and I've got Laura Kelly here in the studio with me talking about St Catherine's Hospice. Now, we've just learned that they have to raise £5.5 million a year to run this organisation, and they have to do it by fundraising by varying events. Now, we've heard about Bark in the Park and the big road and all the events that we have to do. So really, Laura, how can our listeners support you?
Well, throughout the area where your listeners are listening, we've got 14 charity shops, so that's a really brilliant place to start. You could perhaps donate some of your spring cleaning items to be sold there, or if you're out in town, why not pop in and have a browse? You could get involved in some of our events, or maybe even host your own. If you look on our website, www.stch.org.uk, there's all sorts of information and resources to help you do that. We also rely increasingly on the support of volunteers who really make a very valuable impact on the work of the hospice. So if you could spare the odd hour here and there during your week, perhaps you could help with patient transport, so helping our patients come into the hospice to receive some of their care where they might struggle to get in otherwise. But there's all sorts of more information about the ways of supporting us on www.stch.org, or you can look at us on Facebook, so that's Facebook/St C Hospice, and our Twitter handle as well is /STC Hospice.
Thank you, Laura. Well, if you're listening out here, remember, St Catherine Hospice, they have to raise £5.5 million a year, and they need your money. So when you see the events advertised, and we shall be pushing them and advertising them here on the Rotary on the Radio show each Saturday afternoon, please support them. They need the money to keep up their good work. OK, now we go on to...
Voices on the levee are quiet now. The only sound is the river, and the boats heading close to New Orleans, with the lights fading in the distance like the night. Frank DeLander died. Frank played guitar down at the hotel 5 nights a week and all weekend long, and the notes that he played washed like the waves on the rough and tumble jetty down the line, like the night Frank Delandry died. On the night that Frank Delandry died, there were no witnesses to describe what had happened, what went wrong. Where'd Frank Delandry gone? Working women down at the hotel would sit on the stairs and listen, and the music that he played carried them away on waves of memory of lost love, like the night Frank Delandry died. People crowded round the open windows just to hear that guitar man play. They came up and down the river, some as far as 15 miles away, like the night Frank Delandry died. On the night that Frank Delandry died, there were no witnesses to describe what had happened, what went wrong. Where'd Frank Delandry gone? Voices on the levee are quiet now.
Well, who was that? That was Brooks Williams playing Frank Delandry from one of his LPs. Now, Brooks is going to be with us. He's doing a gig here in East Grinstead on Friday, the 11th of July 2014. It's been organised by the Rotary Club of East Grinstead Meridian, and we're raising funds for our charity accounts. So that's Friday, the 11th of July 2014 at the Meridian Hall in East Grinstead. The details are on our website, meridianrotary.co.uk, or you can ring 075 933 16145 for tickets, which are £12.50 each, or you can email us at info@meridianrotary.co.uk. It's going to be a great evening. There'll be a bar available, we think, but you have to bring your own sort of nibbles and food. There's no meal involved. So that's Brooke Williams on his gig Friday, the 11th of July 2014 at the Meridian Hall in East Grinstead. Do come along and support the event and have a good evening. It sounds as though it's good. We'll be playing some more of his music if we've got time later this afternoon. The other item we're promoting again is our Rotary Club annual golf day. This is on Thursday, the 11th of September 2014, and we're raising money for the Step by Step School for Autistic Children in Sharpthorne, just outside East Grinstead. It's a small independent day school based close to East Grinstead for pupils with autism. They provide specialised teaching for pupils aged 4 to 16 who have a diagnosis on the autistic spectrum. The latest Ofsted inspection, apparently at April 2012, judged them as outstanding. If you want some more information on the Step by Step School, go to their website www.stepbystepschool.org.uk. Now, this school was founded in 2003 by a group of parents, and we in the Rotary Club, in fact, supported them shortly after they opened them by raising funds and purchasing some of their equipment. So it's really going to be great to go back in there, 10 or 11 years later, and giving them some additional support. So if you've got a team of you fellas or girls out there who play golf, get a 4-team together and come and play golf at the Lingfield Marriott Hotel and Country Club on Thursday, the 11th of September 2014. All details on our website, meridianrotary.co.uk. Now, how are we doing for time? Right, now we're going back to Laura Kelly, who I've got in the studio.
Thanks, Anthony.
And that's okay, I'm just going to put your mic on. And here we are. Right, Laura Kelly from St Catherine's Hospice is in the studio with us this afternoon and been giving us some information on the events and what they've got to do. And the most important thing is, as I said earlier, they've got to raise $5.5 million. So look out for their events as and when they come up. Right, Laura, what do you think makes it so special?
It's really an amazing place to visit, actually. A lot of people who come into the hospice say what a calm and pleasant place it is. And it's really a place that's really focused on individuals in all sorts of ways. We have a really flexible approach to some of the food we serve. A couple of months ago we had a lovely patient who was in with us, and one morning we said to him, "What would you like for your breakfast today?" And the answer that came back was Roquefort and red wine. Quite a surprising breakfast. But our hospitality team are absolutely amazing, and that is what they got for that lovely patient, and that is what he had his entire time. And as well as doing things like that, we also celebrate a lot of weddings and christenings at the hospice. We have birthdays and all sorts of celebrations. So it's really a place that celebrates life and encourages people to make the most of the time that they have together.
That's marvellous. How do people actually, I know they've got to have an illness to start with, but how do they actually approach you to become to get into St Catherine's Hospice?
Our patients are generally referred to us by their GPs or consultants or other specialised nurses, so referrals might come in from local hospitals as well.
OK, Laura, well, thank you. Lovely for you to come in. I hope to see you again sometime. We shall be promoting certainly your fundraising events, such as your Big Road Ride and Bark in the Park. Don't forget, people out there, you can go onto the website www.stch.org.uk, and all the details of their fundraising events are on their website for you to join in with. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thanks
Lovely to have you with it.
And we pleasure to join you.
And also we gave, the Rotary Club gave Laura, for those of you who just tuned in, £500 for their funding. That was earlier when President Michael Haynes was in the studio. OK, thanks very much, and we hope to see you again soon.
107 Meridian FM. Live local, love local. Meridian FM.
that was Belfast Blues, and guess who it was played by? Yes, it was Brooks Williams from one of his LPs, and Belfast Blues. Now, I don't know whether he'll be playing it, but don't forget, Brooks Williams is having his gig at Friday, the 11th of July, 2014. It's in the Meridian Hall, East Grinstead, and you can get tickets by either emailing info@meridianrotary.co.uk, or you can ring us on 075 933 16145. The tickets are £12.50 each. Also, that's Brooke Williams' gig. Now, don't forget the race night. Sorry, we're just scrambling for paper here. The charity race night in aid of Macmillan Cancer Support Centre, Tuesday the 27th of May at Meridian Hall. Tickets are £15, and just make a call to 01342 323 636. It'll be a great night, and we can really raise a lot of money for the Macmillan Cancer Support. OK, thank you very much. Well, this is Anthony Beevor, Rotary on the radio, signing off. We've had a lovely afternoon. I hope you at Weirwood have who've been listening in. I hope you've got your information. And don't forget, support all of the events that we've been pushing out today for you to enjoy. I'll be back next week at 12 o'clock with Leslie Robinson. And Steve's off on 2 weeks holiday. We're letting him out the studio for a couple of weeks. So welcome back, Steve, in a couple of weeks. So enjoy the rest of the afternoon. See you next week.
From Felbridge to Newchapel, this is 107 Meridian FM. Meridian.